You know that VRS has limitations to its usage.
No, I didn't know that.
For example, if a deaf and non-deaf person are sitting in the same room, you cannot use VRS to call. VRS is a substitute for the telephone. It's not a substitute for an actual interpreter in the room. You would need to call video remote interpreting service, which would actually be a substitute for a live interpreter in the room.
What's VRI?
Video remote interpreting we haven't discussed yet.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to call Project Endeavor and see if they can give me more information.
There you go. Hey, did you see the Project Endeavor video relay interpreting information?
Yes, I did, and I learned a lot about VRI versus VRS.
Give it a try. Let's take a look at some different settings to show you exactly where CSDIO can work for you. CSDIO easily provides interpreting services in a classroom or educational setting, allowing students to both participate in classroom discussions and ask questions. Whether a basic checkup or a more in-depth examination, CSDIO uses only the highest qualified interpreters in the business, ensuring accuracy of information to the patient. Meeting with local law enforcement officials can be a sensitive situation for any person, but CSDIO allows both parties to ask questions and clarify statements so nothing important is left out. CSDIO opens up new employment doors and avenues for qualified deaf people, and scheduling CSDIO in a group or one-on-one meeting is easier and more cost-effective than bringing in a physical interpreter. CSDIO can be your interpreting solution when in the workplace, at church, at a trade show, in a job interview, anywhere an interpreter is needed. It's that easy. CSDIO works in many settings, such as hospitals, police stations, the workplaces, schools, and many other settings.
Is it also good for the rural communities?
Yes, it would be very good for those rural areas out there. VRI would be ready to use.
Who pays for video remote interpreting?
Okay, well, VRI, it depends on the different companies or where you go to, if it's school or work, or if it's to the doctor or to see someone else. Whoever calls and says they need the interpreter, they're responsible for paying.
So payment for a VRI interpreter is the same that we do for a community interpreter?
Yes, right?
Is the equipment for VRI similar to that used in VRS?
Yes, it can be the same, but understand VRI is much more flexible. You can have laptops or different kinds of connections.
Does it depend on what the specific VRS provider has?
Yes, it does depend on the VRI provider. You'll have to ask them, but they're pretty flexible.
And where can I find that specific information?
You can call Project Endeavor, and they'll give you plenty of information.
For more information regarding equipment, you can consult our website for videos and various resources, or feel free to contact the Project Endeavor Contact Center to discuss information, equipment compatibility, and they'll also be able to help with nationwide video relay interpreting providers. Information can be had by anyone, a family member, an employer, a physician, or a service provider who's interested in using video relay interpreting. Contact the Project Endeavor call center. How do you schedule a VRI interpreter?
Okay, to set up a request, you have to just remember ABCs. Accessibility, capability, billing setup, connection options, determining which VRI provider, equipment availability, facility or meeting setup, and green light to go.
How do you schedule a VRI interpreter?
Oh, sure. A, the access. It's just having it set up where it would be and who's responsible for setting it up and making sure they can access it.
You mean B is who's paying for the service?
Yes. So as far as billing and who pays and who's responsible.
Now that's set up prior to service.
Yes, right. Set up before the VRI services. Exactly. C is for connectivity issues, like if you have Wi-Fi or if you have an outlet or you're not sure if the connectivity will work. And then D is determining which VRI provider you want to use, which one will fit your needs the best. E is the equipment, which can be laptops, or there are some layouts that don't work, but we can check and see if it can or won't. And then F is for the facility and setting it up, seeing if the office is too small or if it's big enough, if it has a plug-in for internet, or if it needs to be moved to a different location.
You mean I can use my own equipment?
It depends on the location. Some prefer to use their own equipment, some prefer new equipment. And F for the facility and setup. That's like with the office, if it's too big or too small, what would be better? Maybe there's nowhere to plug it into, so they may have to move it to a different place. And then G was for green light to go.
So all that needs to be considered, and then we're ready to go.
I'll admit, at the beginning of the meeting, I was very hesitant to use CSDIO, but at the conclusion of the meeting, I was very comfortable with the product, and I will use CSDIO again.
To use CSDIO, all you need is video conferencing equipment and high-speed internet. CSDIO is compatible with many existing video phones and webcams. Then you call our scheduling department to make a request for an interpreter. It really is that easy.
What do you do when someone will not pay for VRI services? Who's responsible? Occasionally you may encounter someone who's confused about who is to pay for VRI services. If you contact the Project Endeavor Contact Center, we can discuss with you various resources to help clarify that. Who's responsible for funding and paying, and that will ease the situation. We can also guide you to the Consumer Advocacy Network, which is a forum of deaf individuals who will discuss with you how to self-advocate and to get the VRI services that you're seeking. Contact Project Endeavor. Are there specific rules for VRI as far as etiquette?
Yes, it does. As far as etiquette rules, if you want to learn more, go ahead and call Project Endeavor. And you can see if the interpreter on the screen, you're struggling to understand them, or if there's a meeting and people are jumping in and there are all sorts of problems, call us and we can help you solve that.
If I have problems with my VRI provider, is there a similar customer service center to VRS?
VRI customer services, they don't all have it. Some will have and some will not. So you can go ahead and call Project Endeavor to figure out what you need to do, and we can help you solve the problems. We can also help you figure out which ones have customer service.
Are there added features to VRI?
Yes, it does have many features. For example, we have certified deaf interpreters. So you can use that if you're having trouble understanding the interpreter. You can bring in another deaf person who will expand and use more ASL if you prefer that to help you understand. We also have third-party interpreting where we can have a third person join, so there can be two screens.
CSDIO helps deaf and hearing people in the same room communicate with each other. The video relay service, by law, cannot do the same. CSDIO can.
So it depends on the meeting that's set.
So that means, are there more expectations? Yes. Also, suppose there's a conference going on, and there are all these, you can have conference calling going on with all the interpreters, and different people can join in.
So it depends on the meeting that's set.
Yes.
In a situation like this, VRS may also be appropriate.
Yes, that can happen.
For more information or resources regarding video remote interpreting, please consult our website, where we'll have various resource material and videos available. Or, if you have specific questions, please contact the Project Endeavor Contact Center at the following: